Here's a quick reminder that they have very flexible time schedules. They have professional teachers and professional and experienced teachers. They have online, I beg your pardon, I keep saying inline, online, and hybrid classes as well. So in-person, online, and hybrid classes. And they have French for teenagers and children about the age of 3 years. So if you're interested in learning French, do call or register with them via the phone number 0501287814, 0501287814. On WhatsApp is 0501287818, and their website is afaccra.org. I think their website will be easier for you, so afaccra.org. Joining us in the studio for this stereotype and stigmatization conversation, we have via Zoom our very own Phoebe Gasamete. She's a family counselor. And then we also have Shanti.
Hi.
Shanti, who is a student, looking very beautiful this morning.
Thank
Shanti,
you.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And then to my far left, we have the old gentleman aside me, Eric Agbanavo. Eric Agbanavo is a furniture designer. We are likely to have Dulus Ni Abe also joining us. He's a logistician and a gospel musician. We're discussing stereotypes and stigmatizations. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so I was trying to understand what stereotype really is, and I was looking at the standard dictionary definition, and it says a widely held but fixed and oversimplified image or idea of a particular type of person or thing. And an example would be the stereotype of the woman as the carer. Interesting, isn't it? So worldwide, we've come to see women as people who are more caring than men. So that is a stereotype according to the standard dictionary. Okay. So looking at my very good friend here, Eric and Shanti, you want to get into the comment. Have you ever, first of all, been stereotyped?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely because of my skin color.
Skin color?
Mostly. Like, I live in Austria, in Vienna to be specific. And I mean, of course, there are black people, but not so many. So I had issues where elder people would change the side when walking towards me. Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
We will walk towards you, my dear, in this country. Walk away from, we'll come to that. Eric, you?
Yeah, sure.
You've been stereotyped?
Yeah.
Tell me.
In one way or the other, sometimes you just feel like because you got these looks, they just have this kind of perception that you're a bad type, or probably, let's say, you do smoke or do drugs, which of course isn't like that. But then when you get closer to the person, get to talk to the person, that is when you get to know how good or bad the person is.
First of all, I want to see where the inspiration came from. Because even though historically blacks are known to have locks, locks is a black thing. I think it's our natural hair, you know. But for a long time, our generation, we don't know this. You know, we have the typical Afro hair growing and whatever, we cut it and all that. So what inspired you to lock your hair? Is this locks, first of all? Is this locks? This is locks. This is different from Rasta, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What actually inspired me is just, let me say, I just feel like looking different. Yeah. Nothing really.
You said what inspired you?
Myself.
You just like the...
Yeah, I just like the
idea of
vibe.
Locks?
So I just feel like looking different.
How long have you kept it?
Just a year.
This is just a year?
Yeah.
My brother, you have hair. So in a year, I can have locks like this?
Sure.
Possible?
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's nice, I must admit. It's very, very nice. Shanti, you have piercings and tattoos.
Yeah, I do.
My dear, let's start with your tattoos. Something I know MFACO said that he is fascinated by. And by the way, viewers, I'm taking a detour. If you think MFACO said that you should have a tattoo, and where do you think you should have it? Send it to us on our WhatsApp tablet,
I'm just fascinated because Shanti has it.
Let me give them the number.
This morning, we need a cane on this set.
How many tattoos do you have?
Well, to be honest, I lost count.
You,
Yeah, but I guess it's already at 30 pieces.
30?
Yeah.
Do you mind asking, I guess it's rude, but age, how old would you say you are? No, would you say you are? How old are you?
Well, I'm 24.
You're 24?
Yes.
Okay, when did you start getting the tattoos?
I had my first one at 16.
Your parents allowed you to get a tattoo?
Well, yeah, in a way.
Tell me the story.
Well, there were circumstances, and I was like, hey, I feel like I want to get a tattoo.
Were you rebelling?
Not really rebelling, but in a way also, because I had like a way of feeling that I broke free. So I spoke to my mom and I was like, I want to do this. And we actually got my first one together, like we have the same one.
Oh, you and your mom.
Yeah. And from there, I just went on. But all my tattoos have a meaning, so that was the thing. Like, they all need to be meaningful. So all 30 of them, or how many they are, they all have a meaning.
This was in Austria?
No, I got my first one in Italy.
Okay,
Yeah.
Italy. Okay. All right, I think everyone wants to get into
I don't know why I'm fascinated with tattoos, but we'll come back to maybe, I'll just pry a little bit. What does it mean to have one and this? And how do you feel coming to Ghana wearing all of these tattoos? And which part of your parents comes from Ghana and how they felt about the tattoo? We'll get into that. But we've got Phoebe on Zoom. Hi, Phoebe.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Have we seen? No, we've not spoken
No,
to you this year. So Happy New Year.
Yes.
Okay, Phoebe, you personally, before we get into the conversation, have you ever had to, experience any type of stereotyping that would extend to some form of stigmatization? Have you?
Yes, I have. Being Ga and Ewe, I think sometimes there is this
welcome.
a certain stereotype being from those two tribes, and people expect you to be aggressive and have certain personality traits, which is not true. So definitely I've faced that, I've experienced it, and it's really not pleasant.
Phoebe, Phoebe, very just sorry. What typically did you hear? What did anyone say to you that made you feel a certain way as you being stereotyped?
Like I said, the idea is that you are aggressive. You don't, and also the idea that then you don't like Akans. And sometimes they have the idea that you do not integrate into normal society very well. And that being from those two tribes has given you certain personality traits that makes you're not really someone they want to be around. And they always have stories of someone they knew who was either Ga and Ewe who turned out to, act in a way that they didn't like. I think there was this idea that Gans and Ewes, especially Ewes, keep to ourselves a lot. And so we don't like to mix with other tribes. And so, it's like we're separate people from the rest of the people in the country. And I experienced this from as young as when I was in class 6, and I didn't enjoy it at all. And I kept asking my parents, why is this happening? What is the whole issue? And I found it very strange.
Interesting.
Okay. But I'd like to find out, has there been any amount, a teeny tiny percentage of truth in any of the reasons why you think people stereotype? Sticking to your case study, the tribalism one, have you, because you're a life coach and you may have spoken to a lot of people, I wouldn't want to use the word justification, but do you think that we have come to a certain level of truth as to why, or the justification why people stereotype?
As societies evolve and cultures were being created, I believe that people, obviously, we gravitated towards each other into specific people groups. And as we did that, obviously, to create should I say, a cultural identity, we had certain personality traits that came about, certain even physical traits that, came about. For instance, they say Akans tend to be darker, they have thicker and harder hair. Ewes were lighter in skin. Gans do also have their traits. So I believe that there is some truth to that. And I also believe that historically speaking, especially with what happened during colonization, certain aspects of our nature, especially from the different tribes, came out because obviously we're trying to defend ourselves, defend our land. And so unfortunately, among ourselves as Ghanaians, we started having certain belief systems about each other. And I do believe that sometimes it has a positive side to it. But obviously, when stigmatization comes in is when people focus on the negative aspects, and also when they forget that people are individuals, no matter what blanket or what covering that we come under.
Right, right. Thank you. So let's come back. Stay on hanging there. We'll come back to you. But somebody just joined the conversation, and I am just shocked. Nee,
Hi.
do you not remember Nee?
I know me.
What happened to your hair?
I just got tired of it.
You just got tired of it. Why? What is
'Cause-
your hair though?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like telling me you got tired of your arm.
Oh, no. You know the maintenance culture and also how frequent we go on shows with Joe Metal and all that. So maintaining it is literally like every week. Even my sleeping posture and all that because I don't want to have it messed up and all that. So it was just a bit too much.
So if you have a fair idea of how women struggle.
I don't want to be in their shoes. Like, it's so crazy.
Okay, then I mean it's not because
No,
you
no, no,
started
no,
to feel
no.
okay.
No.
But
I'll
I know-
actually go back to it. So
You will?
when I'm
When
more
you're
settled, yes.
Okay. But before you join the conversation, we're asking, I guess, by the way, that's Shanti and that's Eric, right? So we're asking them whether or not they had experienced any type of stereotyping. Why? Because my Shanti here has got lots of tattoos, skin color. She's half Ghanaian and half Italian as well. Eric here said that he just felt like being different from other people, so he
Right.
wanted to wear that hairstyle. Has he experienced any form of stigma? He says yes. You have carried logs for a while. Plus, you have been a musician, not any type of musician as well. Gospel musician. Please share your story with us.
So when we talk about stereotype, it's more engraved in our culture, like the lady was saying on air. So our culture has kind of framed or put us all in the certain box to say that, okay, this is not part of us, this is part of us. But like you were saying, when you go down to history, locks is something that started with us. And if you check most of our parents in their 80s and 70s, most of them had froze because ways of like having a clean shave or, was not part of our culture.
Right.
So locks forms a foundation. Actually, people in the diaspora or the black Americans are actually known for having locked hair before permed hair came in, chemicals and all that. Talking about how people perceived me when I had the locks in the gospel space, it wasn't welcomed at all. Because people were like, yeah, why, what happened to you? You've backslidden. All of a sudden you're doing Rasta and, Rasta is not part of us. And it's like,
Something had locks, by the way.
even Ezekiel had locks. When you read it, it was there. And so one thing I remember doing was I prayed to God and I told God that he should make a statement that he doesn't look at us, our outward appearance. And I don't think locks has any way of defying us morally. And so, and he made a point. He made a strong statement. So I tell you, anytime I stand to minister or something, his presence, his power, and I saw many. It changed a lot of mindset. And I saw that people were now in the gospel industry today. People are free to have locks on without feeling any type of way. And I think I changed the narrative with that.
Okay.
I'm curious to know, are there places where you feel like you can't go because of your locks? You feel limited for certain reasons at all? You feel you can enter anywhere and be anywhere, be a part of any group?
Sure.
You've never felt any type of way being like this?
The truth is, I don't really care about what people think or feel about me. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
just being me.
But you're an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur, so you started your business yourself. So you have not had to depend on any group or any person to get to somewhere. But have you for once thought that if you didn't have to be an entrepreneur, you had to fit in an existing story, you would have some limitation?
Sure.
You felt like that. So it's been a year already. How has it changed your life? And I know you said that you don't care, but has anybody said anything that you've had to spend more than 1 or 2 minutes to think
about,
again about what you're wearing?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, tell me.
There's been a time I met this guy and he was like, "What do you gain when you have this?" So I got home and I was like, I got to think about it for about 1 hour. I was like, why should you say this to me? Because I feel this is what I want to do. Why don't you respect it? So it got me thinking if I should take it off or not. But then I still feel, no, what he really thinks about me is what he thinks and feel. But for me, I feel this is what I want to do. So I'm cool with it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm curious about Ashanti too.
Yes,
You know, because of
Shanti.
your piercings on your tattoos, I think the stereotype, we all know it, you know, even though we don't participate in it, we know it. It's a knowledge.
It's in our mind.
Indeed. So I'd like to know, whether in Italy or in Ghana, have you ever had to go through an uncomfortable situation because perhaps, let's say, even a man saw you and thought, you know, I could just treat her anyhow because of the way she looks?
Definitely, but I don't think personally that was related to having tattoos.
Okay.
Well, in Ghana, I've never experienced like stigmatization or stereotypes because of my tattoos. I know that may not be the case for everyone, but for me personally, it was that way. In Italy, even though it's like very common to have tattoos, it's part of the culture. They do have a problem with catcalling, so I felt that was more
Right.
because I was a woman.
Because you're a woman, not because of
Yeah.
your
Oh,
looks.
yeah, also that, but obviously it starts with being a woman.
Do you think, for instance, typically, do you think, I'm sure you know, if you were probably standing by the road
Yeah.
and someone like, who should I use? Or someone like, let's say, MFA,
Yeah.
was standing by the road together, do you think that you will have people catcalling you than they would her? Because of the look, mainly purely because of the looks.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe also because they would think I would be more young and naive and easier to manipulate. As she would look more strong-minded and confident, probably.
And maybe professional, more
Yeah,
like
yeah,
okay.
definitely.
Does that bother you in any way as a person? Even working in a corporate space?
No, because I feel at the end of the day, I know myself. Like he said, I don't really care what others think. And I've proven people often wrong, so I'm kind of used to it.
Right.
It just proves the other person ignorance.
MFA, I'm thinking of how far stereotyping has come, even in our country. You know, have you ever seen a banker with locks?
Nee, have you seen one?
In
I'm curious, or with piercing?
So usually with the multinationals, I think they embrace looks better than public sector. Because I remember when I was working in Samsung, I had twist out, and it wasn't really an issue. And I saw a couple of expatriates working with Stanbic Bank that had locks, and it wasn't an issue.
So you realize that we also sort of, even as a people, gravitate towards expatriates who have these things.
Yes.
So if I enter, say, Samsung or Stanbic Bank or somewhere, and the person comes to me with a South African accent or with a European accent
You'll
or
be
whatever
more
it is, you're more comfortable when they have locks and they have maybe
It's
piercings
the
or whatever
mindset.
it is. But if the person speaks the way I'm speaking, very Ghanaian, we tend to look at the person some way. And do we even have such people in our public sector?
It wouldn't that be because of what Phoebe said?
Phoebe said, culture.
So, and what needs that culture. So immediately, I have heard that person sound South African. I give it to them because it's your culture. So I'm not about to waiting to want to question you why. Now, I'll go to Phoebe and find out that at what point do we draw the line where, but this is my culture? At what point do I know that this is clear stereotype, but this is a culture that has, metamorphosed into a stereotype? Because there are norms, values, rules, regulations. We're guided, So where do we draw the line,
When you're asking when do we draw the line, you mean on an individual level or as a people?
I really don't know where you would even take it from, but let's see how you,
You explain it individually. Let's see how you...
Okay, if that's an individual, I think it's really a matter of embracing a certain lifestyle or deciding to do something personally for yourself. I think it's all a matter of self-development and growth.
Let's stay
And
there.
I think that as we
Let's
grow,
stay
our
there.
tastes are...
Phoebe, let's
Sorry?
stay there. Let's stay right there because then, this morning I was telling Godwin that you're not an island. You're an individual sitting in a bigger picture. You know, so yes, it's your decision, your person, what you have said. But my question then will be that yes, we know do what makes you comfortable, but at what point can it sit in the bigger picture? Because you don't live in an island, you're not in some cuckoo land,
Yeah, I was actually just going there.
Okay,
I
thank
was
you.
saying that, yeah, as an individual, obviously our tastes, our affections, they change over time. But then the point where sometimes we have to take a minute to consider exactly the actions we're about to take is when it's going to jeopardize somebody else's safety, and when it's going to maybe affect the society in a very negative manner. And so like you're saying, it's very tricky because people are like, but this is my personal position, this is my personal opinion. On some occasions, we may need to actually wait for society to get to the point where they're a little more comfortable with it than you are at the moment. Or sometimes you have to take some time to explain yourself, explain your position, and have fruitful conversations with the people around you to help them understand. Funny enough, when you were talking, I remembered when you mentioned the bank. I remembered when at the time I was working the banking system and I had an afro, and it wasn't a general thing. It wasn't normal for us to do that. And it took a while for people to start to understand it. But then there was another lady who had it as well. But I think for us, it was a matter of also explaining that, this was our natural hairstyle. This is our hair. It's not something that, we are now doing for the first time. And that it makes sense that, we should feel comfortable within ourselves. And I wouldn't say that everybody was like, yay, immediately, but over time they started to understand. And then other people started to embrace it. And I'm very happy to say that a lot of people started to let their natural hair out. But sometimes it takes a while, it takes a process. And even though we want to express ourselves individually, sometimes it helps for us to involve everybody in the conversation and in the progress that we're making and the transformation that we're going through.
Okay.
Phoebe, two questions. Hopefully, I'm able to ask it well. Now, I know that you're not a sociologist, but I'm going back to this history of how locks, for instance, is an African thing. Ideally, in
Yeah.
fact, naturally, it was us. It's our thing. So, locks, even tattoos, it dates back to an African society. It's where we had these things. At what point did we, as a society, decide that no, this is not our thing? Because then, if it is something that is innate to or with us, how is it that now when somebody has locks, we look at them differently? At what point, I don't know if you can answer this question, but at what point did we decide that piercings, even piercings, also it's an African thing? So piercings, you have, when you watch Black Panther, you have all these people with the, wide piercings in their faces and all that. So at what point did we decide that? Was it the Europeans, was it colonization that made us think that this is not the way to go, and suddenly our minds were rewired? Was it religion that was brought to us? At what point did we decide to throw away our culture, and now that old culture that we had is not acceptable?
I think that's a very good question. And I think you've answered part of it. It did come with colonization. Obviously, we started to embrace another culture that was very different from our own. We embraced another way of thinking that was very different from our own as well. And then also, there is the religious aspect of it. And for instance, as you mentioned, piercings, the use of cowries and all these things. And I think for us as a people, we need to be able to draw the line between what was very natural to us and then what had some religious relevance. The reason being that we still have Christians within our society. And then the Christianization of the continent also pushed a lot of things out of the way. And I wouldn't say that everything that they pushed out of the way was needed to go. For instance, our natural hair, and I don't particularly see anything wrong with piercings and a lot of other things, but I think that we need to draw a line between the two. And what I did with my father was I kept asking, what is the history of this? What's the significance of this? Can you explain it to me? And I needed to understand the ground roots because as a Christian, I needed to understand the source of this practice. But then the funny thing was, I realized that a lot of them were not steeped in religion. It was just something that we were doing. It didn't have, what's the word? It wasn't because of some God they were worshiping or anything like that. It was just part of what we did. For instance, like the Homo. My dad explained that the reason why we celebrated Homo was because of sort of the exodus of the Ga people, and coming into our land because they were experiencing starvation. There was a bountiful harvest, and so that's your way of giving thanks. Okay, so I was like, okay, but you see, if we don't know, then we start to think that, okay, this thing is entirely bad and we have to throw it away. But I think what has been happening, especially since the early 2000s, is not just Ghanaians, Africans all over the world are asking, okay, so why have I let go of this? Okay, so why have I become like this? And what is it about me am I loving? And what do I need to love? What do I need to re-embrace? And with this documentary, I think it was Chris Rock, it was about hair, which was very illuminating to a lot of Black people, especially Black women. And so you've seen that there's been shall I say, another evolution back towards who we really are and really enjoying who we are as African people.
Very nice. Some messages.
Yeah. So so somebody just sent a message from Konongo. Says that Eric, I read the message twice. Says that stereotyping can also be misconstrued as misrepresentation and stigma. Sometimes it is what it is. Note, sometimes. Now the scripture says, do not judge according to appearance, but judge a righteous judgment. There's also a scripture in Proverbs that says that a woman dressed like a prostitute. So appearance matters. You can't dress a certain way for many professional interviews, and when you're turned down, you call it stereotype. For example, dreadlocks or exposed tattoos or sexy clothes, etc. Some part of the messages are if the Bible said that a woman dressed like a prostitute, it's just to suggest that there is a certain type way. But where did we see the type? How did the Bible describe it?
And to add to that, just to add to it, there's a scripture that also says that God looks at the inward man, but man looks on the outward. So there is
the
thing
that there's a certain look that we must
that
talk
a man
about.
looks at. Yeah.
Okay, this is to suggest that looks means something by all means. Yeah. Okay, so this is why I was asking, at what point do I draw the line? I ask because not me alone, my friends in this industry, you may have heard about Sewa, you have heard Bella, everybody. You post a picture and nearly half of the comment is about how you look and how you may be an empty head because you're wearing makeup in a certain, I don't know, but there's a certain type of thinking that is associated to a woman that looks a certain type of way. One, if you're curved. Two, if you want to look
you're a slay queen.
Good or something. So how do I know? How can I tell who a prostitute is?
The Bible, the pastor is here.
It's very interesting. I think how we look or our appearance is subject to context.
Okay.
So for example, I remember I was going for an interview with a multinational. I had my locks. What did I do? I just made sure that it was looking kept. Like I touched, I shaved, everything. And when I went, they didn't talk about like how I'm looking. I mean, I suited up and everything. So, but imagine probably I can go with same looks. I haven't just looking scruffy and, wretched. Definitely, it'll tell on how you're looking, because in that context is a corporate context, and they would not expect that, for example, a woman will wear a mini skirt and breast cleavage or breast all over the place, So I think it's subject to context. You know that you can wear your hot pants or whatever to the beach. You can't wear that kind of clothing to
the office.
Or somewhere that has a corporate tone to it, So, and talking about appearance in terms of looking like a prostitute, the Bible talks about modesty.
Okay.
So there's a way you need to dress that makes you accepted in a particular environment. You know that when you're going to swim, definitely you wear your bikini, and so it's in context.
It's place.
Exactly. In that context of going to swim, nobody will say it's an indecent. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Interesting.
Eric, so you would agree that if a woman who genuinely is not a prostitute, it's not whatever it is that they say, but why did they dish out the word prostitute by heart? Like, okay, that was just this commentary. So you agree that a woman that looks a certain type of way, but says that, don't judge me by how I look. Please, judge me by who I am.
Inside.
Is it fair? Eric, do you think it's fair?
Okay. From my point of view, I'm not that type of person who really judge someone depending on his or her appearance. For me, I still believe to get to know someone more or better, you get closer to the person.
But it's not everybody you get closer
Sure.
to. Like
But
me sitting here, or you, when you close, you're going to a furniture shop. Do you understand? So I may not get to know you.
Yeah.
So I can only judge
By
by
what you see
what
in
you've
the video.
said. But to see just this 5 minutes, I can't help but wear my judging armor and judge you. Would it be fair sitting here thinking that after I've closed, I'm going to...
That wouldn't be fair. But you should know we are all like, we have the right to whatever we think or feel about someone. But then that doesn't make it right.
Beautiful, beautiful. You have a right to think about what you think.
But doesn't make it right.
Doesn't make it
Okay, so let me ask how all of you feel if, let's say you are diagnosed with a terminal disease, you get to the hospital, doctor shows up, doctor has tattoos here, all over here. He has some permed hair. Imagine this, permed hair, tattoos all over, rings, yeah, some piercings and all that. Honestly, as a people, as a person, genuinely, knife and assassin about to operate on you, will you feel a certain way?
Definitely.
You will feel a certain way?
Yes.
Eric, will you feel a certain way?
No.
You won't feel any type of way at all. He's about to operate on you. He's about to open you up. Oh.
No, I wouldn't feel
Okay. Shanti, you?
No, because I actually had that happening. Well, I wasn't operated, but I went to the hospital because I had issues, and my doctor had piercings and tattoos. And I actually felt like really comfortable.
In Italy?
No, in Austria.
In Austria.
Yeah.
Oh, Austria, yeah. In Ghana, I'm sure we'll shake some more.
Exactly.
In Ghana, we'll shake
Exactly.
some more.
So it's a culture thing again.
I want to understand, how would you feel?
I think
You are
that
doctor.
I think that in some situations people have confidence in the institution, not the people.
Not the person.
Like
Okay.
you enter a bank and it is the bank you're banking with, not the teller
Okay.
counting the money. So if you enter a hospital and the doctor looked a certain type of way, you will dare to still lay down to be operated on, but you know,
You would have
because
your
the confidence you have
exactly
in
is in the
system
hospital,
of
the brand.
So the confidence you have in culture, like so it's still in it. So the hospital, that's the culture of it. So you believe in the culture. So still, as a country or as a group of people, you want to revert to the culture again. And that's the only time you will start to now say that this is right, this is not right. It's our stereotype or our no stereotype.
I think you've asked this question partially, but lastly, to Phoebe, I want to understand how a person's look is connected to their personality, who they are, how we judge. You say we shouldn't judge, but also we have to judge because I want to understand how a person's appearance, as this lady is sitting here, is connected to who she is, whether she's a good person, she's a terrible person, and all that. How is it connected? Because while we say that, oh, who I am is not what I look like, the Bible says what's internal is what shows on the outside. So if I'm somebody who is rough and ragged, there is no way I'll look a certain way. So looks also tell who a person is inside, isn't it, Phoebe?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Have
you finished the question?
Okay, yes, please. Does look reflect who a person is inside? Are you on the outside what you are in the inside?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. And it's very hard to make that generalization with people because as much as the Bible does say that who you are inside, it reflects on the outside, it also says that God knows who is on the inside. And so somebody could look the best, look sharp, have everything on the outside, but be really struggling and having serious issues internally, and vice versa. I believe that the way we look depends on a number of factors. One of them is definitely our worldview. Another is our culture. Another is our upbringing. And then our exposure to society, our evolving ideas, the things that we tend to like, our personal taste. So it's not just based on our goodness or our badness. It's got more to do with who we are personally and individually. And like you rightly said, it can be very tricky to judge people by their outward appearance And that's why I think it's always a good thing to go beyond just how the person looks on the outside and take a step further to get to know who they are. Another thing I wanted to say is that, stereotyping and stigmatization are two very different things. Stereotypes could be very positive. I mean, an understanding that we're different. Africans tend to be darker skinned. We have, curly hair. Caucasian people are, have whiter skin. They have straight hair. That is a stereotype. It's not a bad thing. It's just a general thing. And then also, but stigmatization is when you take a specific thing about someone and then you use it to treat them badly, or you try to harm them because of their difference from you, or the thing about them that is personal to them, and then based on that you're using it to attack them or try to harm them or insult them. That's where you're being stigmatizing somebody else. And so based on that, I think what this teaches us is that we need to be very careful in how we interpret people's real purpose and their real mindsets by looking at them on the outside, and just take a step further to get to know them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Phoebe. Well explained, Phoebe Besemete.
Yeah.
Is our family counselor. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for your time. Where can we find you again, Phoebe?
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Phoebe Besemete, if you can spell it.
Wonderful. Have a beautiful day, Phoebe.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
In wrapping the conversation, so God said humans judge by sight, so it's our nature to do so. Just dress accordingly and demand whatever respect you want or need, which is true, which means that you're not God to be going into the person. You only love with what you see to want to judge with.
You want to go and run a woman who they like gentlemen, then you go looking like she not go marry you. And maybe you're a good person, you're what she's looking for on the inside.
Do we have to take your blood to the lab to now go and test to see if you're a good person? Shanti, but in wrapping, this conversation, I'll take your final words on it, especially on stereotyping and the fact that you have had quite a smooth journey so far. I'd say that you're still young though. So maybe we'll be taking stock after every 5 years if the story is still the same. But which part of you comes from Ghana? Your dad, how does he feel about your tattoos?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not so positive.
Okay.
I would lie, I would say like, oh yeah, it's totally happy.
He's a Dagoma man, right?
Yes.
Look at that.
But at the end of the day, they know I'm not a bad person. I still get my things done. Like, I'm not going out killing anyone. I don't take drugs or anything. So obviously they know it's also like a step forward for them to get out of their comfort zone in a way and to like break My parents are always very supportive, but they will always tell me their honest opinion.
That's nice.
You speak Dagoma? Dagoma, right?
Yeah,
you don't speak. Your father will not be happy.
Eric, have you had any challenge with your business? Has anybody come to you for furniture design and say, oh, it's fine?
Okay.
Not yet. Okay. Well, do you have any projects coming up? I think we'll like you with the locks, though.
Don't worry, I'll go
Next
back
time,
to
do a questionnaire and ask before you
when I took it off by social media, everyone, literally.
Did you throw it away?
No.
It's there.
It's there, so don't worry. My dad was like, don't go back to that. I'm like, don't worry.
Typical
I'm going to go back to
man,
that. But talking about this, though, and how it has contributed to unemployment rate in Ghana, because we discriminate a lot of jobs, like a barber, you look down. I think we have to really revolutionize how we perceive people and what they do, because we've looked down on ourselves so much, and we've created this thing that, okay, maybe if you're a barber, you day low, or but I remember I traveled to Europe, right, in Netherlands, and everyone is respected, even someone collecting the trash, and they've institutionalized it. People go to school to learn how to barber and everything, so there's so much respect. No one looks down. But in Ghana here, you see that we have our own mindset, discriminative mindset of, okay, if you're doing this job, then you're less than the person in the bank. But I think we need to change a lot going on. Yeah, we need to change the narrative.
Anyway, thank you. Somebody wants Shanti to send pictures. Please, can I get some pics from Shanti? She's called Shanti, not Ashanti. She's looking amazing. So what are we supposed to do now? We'll take a picture, send it to you. But you have to send us your picture first, so we're sure that we want to send it.
He has the tattoos.
Yeah, we ran out of time, but okay. Oh, is that a
Is that
kitten?
a cat? Two cats,
Yeah,
kittens?
were my cats that died.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay, and there's a mermaid?
Yeah.
And what's that?
As a
Gorgeous,
child
nice.
growing up, I always loved like The Little Mermaid, the movie.
It is.
So, yeah.
Right. And this is what language? Sorry, last one.
Arabic.
What does it say?
It means trust in God.
Okay.
Yeah. That was like my second one.
I feel that bit about the kittens because I had two fishes.
yeah.
They died and they're in the morgue.
So-
They've been in the morgue for a year. They're in my freezer. We're keeping them for a year. The way,
wow.
yeah, because I'm attached to them.
Yeah,
and if I could
understand.
endure the pain, I'll draw them too.
It's not
Like if
so
I could,
painful.
if I
Where
could
would you put
endure
it?
my mother,
Yeah.
if I could draw the drawing, I'll draw my mother on my
Where would you
chest
draw
or
it?
something.
Your chest.
Yeah, my mother, she's on my heart, always and forever. So I'll write it here. But it's painful. Was it painful?
No.
We'll talk about it after.
Why you V-neck? When you do it, why you V-neck?
Okay, guys, thank you so much. No projects coming up?
So I have my album coming up, maybe first quarter of this year. So watch the space.
Please. We always do. We look forward to that.
Thank you.
Eric, where can we find your furniture shop? The furniture shop?
Around Butcher Little Roses.
Really?
Butchery where?
Little
Roses.
Roses.
Two roses. Okay.
Okay. I'll visit you soon. Nobody should come to MS24 looking for Shanti. We have a gun at the
Lastly, Eric, are you on social media? So if people want to order or something,
Sure.
what's your channel?
I'm Eric. I'm really Eric.
Really,
Eric.
Eric. Hey, really, Eric. Sorry,
Yeah,
I went
I am
to. I'm
underscore
stereotyping the
Eric.
Ashantis this morning. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Vishanti, do you want to share your socials and all of them?
No. I don't want anybody to follow you. Nobody should follow you. We beg. We are done.
Are you
Thank you
sure?
very much.
Bye.
Thank you. I have stopped it. You can come and fight me.
Oh.
Up next, we have Travel Tuesday. I said we won't allow.
That's not fair.
Enjoy. We'll be back.
So this is the shin that we grounded, as you can see. Now it's been roasted enough, and I guess they're taking out the big bits and putting them in there, and we're gonna grind it more. Now we're gonna actually grind it, get into a sheer paste, but it smells a little bit like roasted chocolate, if that even makes sense. Money. This is like, I don't even remember what stage this is, whether it's 4 or 5 right now, but